Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 5, Round 8. We're here in Germany for the first time, and also for the first time, we will be going to the Hockenheim Ring. As let's go through your starting grid. At the back of the field in row 14, just barely saved his team from going into bankruptcy, will be the number 95 of Nico Hulkenberg, unfortunately starting at the back of the field. And then right next to him will be the 53 of Tinkle McStinkle, has finished 13 two times in a row. Up to row 13, Devlin DiFrancesco got his first top 10 of the season, and also the first top 10 of the season for Masters of Motors. And then Mahavir Raghunathan will be to his inside. Up into row 12, Dawa Tenzin in the number 94 just came off his first Indy 300, finished in 12th, and then Globler Lord will be lined up alongside him. In row 11, Robbie Lord will be just in front of his little brother, and then to his inside will be Ethan Martz, finished 7th with a pretty good run at the Indy 300. Row 10, his debut at Indy didn't go so well. Carlos Huertas will be finishing out the rest of the season at Banshees of Little Miami. Finished 30th at Indy, but this will be his first road course. He's going to be starting from 20th, and then Miles Rowe will be alongside him in 19th. Then up to row 9, Stingray Rob's top 10 streak at Indy has came to an end after a pretty tough race. Finished down in the 20s. Alongside him, Francesco Draconi, who got a top 10 in his first Indy 300. Row 8 will have his teammate Benjamin Peterson on the outside, and then to his inside, Lawless Allen, who's been doing well at qualifying recently, but has not been able to execute in the races, and has fallen to 26th in the standings, second to last of your regular season drivers. Row 7, Lindsey Brewer going to be on the outside, and then to her inside, Dorian Pin once again got knocked out in round 1, going to be starting from 13th on the grid. Up to row 6 on the outside, David Malukas has also done well in qualifying, but has not been able to execute, all the way down in 25th in the standings. It's been a tough season for him and his team. To his inside will be Alessio Deletta, who shot up the standings with a 4th place finish at Indy. Row 5, Guy Gagne going to be on the outside. Viking Racing had a tough Indy 300, but Brennan Hubbard on the inside had a good run, finished 6th, second best out of the team. As up to row 4, Ryan Preece also had a tough Indy, qualified 13th, finished down in about 25th. To his inside, Louis Foster, who won the Indy 300 in season 4, got taken out early in the previous race, and he will be starting from 7th today. His teammate Justin Allgaier will be on the outside of row 3, starting 6th, and then Chet Jordan on the inside in 5th, who got the pole at the last road course at Sebring and came home in 5th. Row 2 going to be another row full of Viking racing. Going to be Connor Zilich on the outside. To his inside, coming off a podium at Indy, Nolan Siegel, who's moved up to 4th in the standings. And then row 1, once again, will be Shane Van Gisbergen and Marcus Armstrong, but this time it's flipped. Van Gisbergen started at 28th at Indy and then clawed all the way up to 5th place, which is an incredible run. And then Marcus Armstrong came up just short, finished second, but that moved him second in the standings from 7th to 2nd. As you can see, he's now down by just 47 on the race info page. Foster and Siegel tied 57 back. Foster's winning in that tiebreaker. And then Guy Gagne still sits in 5th. Swindlers of the Immortals pulls out to an even bigger team standings lead. So we are here in the Hockenheim Ring, 2.84 miles. If you do the math, for 30 laps, that'll be 85.2 miles. The sim time is June 7th at 2 p.m. It's going to be a little bit of a warmer race. As let's go to the track. The two cars going to be going through the pits early on. Devlin DiFrancesco and Nico Hulkenberg will be the two drivers that come in early. They're going to change their tires. Let's take a look at what tires these drivers choose. Marcus Armstrong, a rare choice for a pole sitter, going to be starting on the hard tires. Van Gisbergen on his outside going to be on the soft, so that's going to be pretty tough to defend. Then you go back, Connor Zilic is going to be on the softs, Nolan Siegel will be on the softs, Justin Allgaier on the softs, Chet Jordan, first car on the mediums, going to be fifth back, so he's probably going to try for one stop in this race. Louis Foster going to be on the mediums. Ryan Preece going to be on the softs. Then you got Brendan Hubbard on the mediums, Guy Gagné on the softs, Alessio Deletta on the softs, and then David Malukas on the mediums. So interestingly, a lot of drivers going to be on the softs. Gonna have to see how that plays out. You take a look at your weather. Temperature of 72 degrees, 2-mile-per-hour wind speed, partly cloudy, humidity at just 49%. Gonna be an exciting race. First time we've ever been in Germany. So we will be going into the stadium section. This could be where things could go a little bit sideways for these drivers. Pretty fast section into a pretty tight but rounded turn. You can already see there's a little bit of dirt on the outside lane that these drivers are going to have to make sure that they avoid, or else that could cause them to spin out. As here we go to the start-finish line. Marcus Armstrong gonna get the jump as the outside lane does not get going behind Connor Zilic. They're gonna drop back. Nolan Siegel already trying to go for second. There is a huge just stack up here in the back. Connor Zilic did not go at the start. He drops down to 10th. As Nolan Siegel got up into second, he got around Shane Van Gisbergen around the outside. As Marcus Armstrong gonna lead going down into the hairpin. Van Gisbergen in the draft of Nolan Siegel, as he's going to try and look around the outside of the 19, can't quite get there. A 33 of Marcus Armstrong will still lead. But here comes Nolan Siegel trying to go up the inside. That was a bold move to try to go up the inside. Doesn't quite work out. But the field really got shuffled there at the start. But here comes Nolan Siegel once again. Just not going to be able to hang on as we have an incident. Carlos Huertas and Stingray Robb are around. Robbie Lord right in the middle of it. And this could cause a yellow early on, as Stingray finally gets going, but Marcus Armstrong still leads. So an incident at the back. We're going to have to try and see what happened there. As let's go quickly to a replay. Try not to miss much of the action, but Carlos Huerta's first road course race going to hop the curb, make contact with Stingray, and that's going to stack a lot of cars up. Robbie Lore going to be one of them, and then Tinkle McStinkle going to have to go around as Marcus Armstrong going to lose out in the draft. Nolan Siegel goes around the outside. That's the benefit of the soft tires. Going to make it work, but Armstrong still under attack from Van Gisbergen. And Van Gisbergen's going to get that too. Louis Foster, bold move trying to go around the outside of Chet Jordan. Doesn't quite work out. But Armstrong on the hard tires dropping back. Gonna have to see what he does with those. So not a clean first lap. Connor Zilic going to be trying to make up some positions here. Wallace Allen already the first car into pit lane. He's going to come off the... What tires are those? Those are the hard tires. He's already bailing on. Siegel now under attack from Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen going to try and look around the the inside. Under braking here, who's going to have the better line? And it's gonna be Nolan Siegel, who's just gonna have a little bit more pace. Back here, Marcus Armstrong trying to defend with his life for third place. But Van Gisbergen putting pressure on Nolan Siegel. Viking Racing still winless in this season, 7 races in. Right now, very competitive up at the front. So a couple cars already off the back of the field. Carlos Huertas being one of them. Probably has a little bit of wing damage, I'd assume. As Van Gisbergen tries looking around the outside, going into turn 2. Can't quite get there, and that's going to sacrifice his exit. Marcus Armstrong going to try and defend from teammate Chet Jordan. As not going to be able to make any moves that time. Siegel still holds on up at the front. It's 4th in the championship, 57 points back. As they run, it would only be 47 back from Van Gisbergen. Still, that's about 1 race behind. Number 1 car is going to be tough to beat. And he's showing it once again today, being very aggressive at the start. Armstrong, big slide going into that turn. Still hanging on by about half a second. Van Gisbergen just behind. Just a little bit quicker that last lap, but he's going to be in the draft now. The number 19 of Nolan Siegel in a bit of trouble. Siegel going to take a defensive line. Van Gisbergen not going to pop out of line. He's content with staying behind just for now. Chet Jordan still hanging on behind Armstrong. He's about 1.8 seconds back. Carlos Huertas has entered the pit lane. I would not be surprised if he has some damage. As just seems to be a quick stop for Huertas, so he's going to go back out there. But an interesting road course debut already for that number 7 team. Armstrong continues to lose time. Those hard tires not getting the benefit right now. Chet Jordan's really got to try to get by the 33 here. Van Gisbergen about a second back from Siegel. Chet Jordan now going to try and look up the inside. Brennan Hubbard has moved his way up into 5th. Armstrong going to try and break later than Chet Jordan. And it's going to work out. Chet Jordan going to have to stay behind. Silly Men Racing kind of eating their own right now. Van Gisbergen right on the heels of Nolan Siegel once again. This lap gonna be 1. Just 2 attempts back. He's going to have a good exit off that turn into turn 2 now. He's going to try and look around the outside. And he's going to get it. Shane Van Gisbergen to the lead. Trying to make it 4 road course wins in a row. Meanwhile, Chet Jordan goes around the outside and going to get Marcus Armstrong. So we have a change of position for third as well as a lead change. Nolan Siegel's now just going to have to try and stick with the number 1 and make sure he doesn't get away. So 4.5 seconds back for Chet Jordan. Right now, Brennan Hubbard up from 9th to 5th. So up 4 spots at the start. Very bunched up start. Connor Zilic did not get going. Has only lost 3 points now up to this point. You can really see a dark line forming in that turn as Nolan Siegel gonna bail on the soft tires pretty early. Hopefully he goes to the mediums for his own benefit. As let's see what kind of tires he's gonna take here. He is gonna go to, I believe those are the mediums. Yes, they are. So he may try to go to the end from here. We're going to have to see if that works. We're going to have to see if the undercut works. But he is going to be in a little bit of traffic. That's going to hurt him. Marcus Armstrong trying to go around the outside of Chet Jordan. And it's going to work. He's going to get the position back. So maybe the hard tires starting to show their speed now. Five seconds behind the leader. Siegel about 25 seconds back, but in the middle of traffic to try and get around the 00 of Glubler here. Up the inside, no big deal. That is for 16th. 5.5 second lead for Van Gisbergen now. Chet Jordan gonna try and go around the outside again. Hopefully he'll be able to hang on to it this time and try to gain on the leader. Right now Van Gisbergen looking good. Meanwhile back here, Louis Foster trying to make a move on Brennan Hubbard. As Armstrong with a crossover, he's going up the inside. And that's going to work for the 33, and the 10 is also going to get around the 99. Billy Men Racing not working together very well here, but they have came about a half a second quicker. They are still gaining time, so the 1 may be struggling a bit on tires here. If they're battling like that and he has lost about a second and continues to lose a pretty solid amount, as yeah, he's going to bail here. Marcus Armstrong, he's going to come in, surprisingly. Chet Jordan going to stay out, and he's going to try and overcut both of them, except Louis Foster may try and get him here. And Foster going to try and go around the outside. Meanwhile, the 53 is stuck on the curb, and this may trigger a yellow. He does get back going, so will not be a yellow. But Foster goes up the inside, and he's going to take the lead from Chet Jordan. So a lead change right there. Gonna have to see how that plays out. Foster on the medium tires. All 3 of these guys are on the mediums. As Chet Jordan gonna try and go around the outside. Meanwhile, back here, Shane Van Gisbergen is about 1 car in front of Nolan Siegel. They have the 76 of Ethan Martz separating the 2. Chet Jordan currently leads the race. He's trying to get to 15 to go before he pits to try to make it on 1 stop. Van Gisbergen is on the medium tires, so he's probably trying to get to the end here. Jet Jordan and Louis Foster and Brennan Hubbard just need to work on gaining time. As the 00 is upside down, and this is probably going to be a yellow. He will finally come to a rest upside down, and that will be a yellow. Almost immediately. That is a huge accident for the 00. Flipped over at Indy and now going to flip over at the Hockenheim. Goes over the barrier. What happened here? Battling the 47 of Lindsey Brewer and just gonna make wheel-to-wheel contact, which flips him over. Now he's into the dirt. Comes across the track, nearly wipes out the 47 again. As this has just blown up the strategy of the race. This is what Glover saw. Oh, just... man. This is a ride for the 00. Let's watch on board with the 47 to see what she saw, considering she's going to see him bounce across the track here, I think. Actually, let's go to the 54 to... You can see just a wing right there, but man, that's a pretty scary sight. So the 00 gonna be out of the race on that one. Chet Jordan now your leader. So currently on lap basically 12 here. So not quite at halfway where these guys wanted to go, but they just may need to pit here to try to stay in front unless they want to try and build a lead when they pit, which is something that you need to consider. So 3 lead changes already. As the 47 of Lindsey Brewer, I think, also has some pretty critical damage. It's not surprising. But I think, looking at her wheels, I think they may be a little inward. Not a good sign. The first yellow of the day. Gonna have to see who pits here and who doesn't. Everyone on the lead lap, so there will be no lucky dog. So the yellow will be shortened by a lap. Double zero in the pits. May be trying to repair that car somewhat to maybe gain a position or two if more chaos happens. As this would normally be the time when cars come into pits. Doesn't seem like anyone's taking it. Zilich, interestingly, stays out, and he is on the softs. Pin is on the softs. We have a couple takers at the back of the field. Brewer, we assumed, would come in for repairs, but Hulkenberg leads Tenzin, Robbie, Deletta, Rob, Allen, McStinkle, Huertas, so everyone at the back of the field. So 19th on down, gonna come in here. So gonna be one lap to green. These guys gonna try and stay out and try to build a gap. Right now, Shane Van Gisbergen, the first car that has pit, is back in 11th. Nolan Siegel only 2 cars back in 13th. So we will be restarting on lap. Well, we'll be restarting with about 16 to go, so about halfway into the race. If I'm one of these drivers up here, I try and stay out for as long as I can and try to build a gap and come in. As let's get ready to go back green. Chet Jordan gonna lead us back. Nice restart for the 24. 10 stays with 99, a little bit back. But Chet Jordan gonna lead into turn 1, but his lead already gonna be down to 1/10 here. Foster's gonna get pretty aggressive on the outside as we have a car off the track. That is the 77 of Stingray Rob. Issues in turn 1. We're gonna have to see if he gets going. As they both, Tenzin and Stingray, have gone off track, but here comes Foster looking for a move. Around the outside, spin the preferred line to get the exit off the turn. But Chet Jordan gonna stay ahead there. So chaos into turn 1 at the back of the grid. Armstrong has gotten by Nolan Siegel, so now Armstrong is second out of the cars that have pit. These guys gonna be looking for their lead to build. Let's quickly go back and see what happened going into turn 1 with the 77 and the 94. So into turn 1. Oh, just Allen makes contact with Tenzin, and then Stingray gonna go over. Not over, but pretty close. I think Tenzin and Rob have hit again. That 94 is wounded, and so is the 77. As a couple cars gonna pit already. Zilich, Pin, Allgaier, and Priest. Meanwhile, the 77 and 94 are just trying to limp around. I think they hit each other again in the hairpin. Gonna have to see if they can make it back to the pits without causing a yellow. Meanwhile, Jet Jordan has checked out from the 10 and the 99. This has cycled Van Gisbergen up to 4th, with 2 cars in between him and Armstrong. Back here, Nolan Siegel trying to make a move on Ethan Martz as Armstrong goes around the outside of Triconi. The leaders are going to be coming up on the 2 slow cars pretty soon. Might be a cause for concern. Chet Jordan going to be the first one on the scene. Unless both of them come into pit lane here. Pull off the track. Yes, both are in the pits, so we'll stay green. The tempers may be flaring between the 94 and the 77, or at least just frustration building over because it was the 92 of Lawless Allen who triggered that, who was back in 15th. So the field kind of getting shuffled around. Jordan leads by 0.6, now down to half a second over Foster. As Siegel has gotten by Armstrong. That is for second out of the cars that have pit so far. Siegel's got to get around Gagne here. His teammate should be fairly easy. There's a pretty huge gap down to the number 1. Siegel and Armstrong both going to get by. Van Gisbergen now behind Hubbard, and Foster behind Jordan. So a lot of interesting battles going on through the field. Shane Van Gisbergen trying to get a record-tying 4th win in the season. But if he gets it 8 races in, his record season, he only had 2 race wins at this point. Jordan and Foster both going to stay out. Hubbard trying to close back in on the leaders. Siegel and Armstrong going to be trying to gain a lot of time here. Meanwhile, Malukas going to get around Gagne. Actually, Gagne coming into the pits. So he's going to bail. As here comes Louis Foster trying to go around the outside of the 24 in turn 2. And he's going to make it work. But now here they come down towards the hairpin. How's this going to work out? Van Gisbergen looking to the inside of Hubbard. Side by side through the hairpin. Chet Jordan going to have the advantage. So he's going to take the lead, but Van Gisbergen into second. Is the inevitable happening? Is he now everyone's nightmare? Is he the guy to beat? Going to have to see how this all works out. But right now, Chet Jordan going to have to be playing some major defense from behind. Jordan pits now. He's going to be in the swarm of cars at the back of the field. Not at the very back, but outside top 10, probably. Jordan going to try and hang on. But Van Gisbergen going to be looking up the inside here into turn 1. And there's nothing the 24 can do to respond on the older tires. Shane Van Gisbergen back into the lead. Jordan going to be about half a second back, not going to be close enough for any dive bombs down into the hairpin. Siegel and Armstrong are closing in fairly quickly, but they've got 3 cars in between them and the guy they're trying to beat. About 3 cars roughly out of the race or in critical damage. Lindsay Brewer didn't have much damage. She's back out there running in 19th. As Connor Zilich goes by, he's up to 18th. Rough day for the Magenta Trees. Indy 300 didn't go well for them either. But Van Gisbergen has pulled out to a 2-second lead. Siegel and Armstrong still continue to close in. So the battle for the podium definitely still on for them. But these guys are just in their own realm of strategy, as this is Miles Rowe coming into the pits. He's kind of near the back of the field. A lot of cars still left to pit. A lot of cars that have already pit. Right now, I think Chet Jordan and Louis Foster, it's not doing them any favors staying out any longer. I think they gotta pit now, unless they're just trying to build time to stay out of the swarm of cars near the back of the field. But they're gonna come in now, so couldn't do any longer. Hubbard's still gonna stay out, but he's gonna be under attack from teammate Nolan Siegel. Couldn't quite get him there. Siegel's got to try and get around him quickly to have any chance of chasing down that number 1 car up at the front. So they're going to try and move Chet Jordan and Louis Foster. Going to come out behind the number 9. That is important. Here comes Marcus Armstrong up the inside, trying to get around the 99 as well. He's going to get the 19 here, but he may get the 99 on exit here. Up the inside, going towards the Mercedes turn, and he's going to get Hubbard, but Hubbard's going to try and late break him, and that's going to cause Siegel to get side by side with him. This is an interesting battle back here, but Van Gisbergen critically up by 8 seconds now. Hubbard now going to come in, and that's going to release these two to try to full push. Take a look at the stint length. A lot of interesting things going on, and a lot of cars coming in now. Hubbard leads Draconi, Malukas, DeFrancesco, Raghunathan, and Mart, so that may be everyone at this point. Zilich still trying to climb through the field. I think this is it out of the cars that have pit, so Lawless Allen currently cycles out to 4th, which could be his best result of the season if he continues where he is. Van Gisbergen up to 9 seconds. But Allen, right as we get onto him, is going to lose 2 spots here. I believe, yeah, Zilich is going to have the better line here. That'll put Zilich into 5th. But these guys are nearly 23 seconds behind the leader. They need a yellow to happen, and frankly, these guys, Siegel and Armstrong, may also need a yellow. So 9 laps to go. Not much time left in the race. Everyone has now pit at some point. Siegel has been out here the longest, so he may have the most difficult time trying to get to the end. Should be fairly safe, I believe. I think Van Gisbergen and Armstrong should be fine. Right now, if you just compare laps here, about a second slower. That's pretty critical, as back here, Zilich gonna try and get around Deletta. He's actually turning some of the quickest laps out here. Not gonna get a move done there. Wallace Allen continues to tumble backwards, as Chet Jordan now gonna get by. Carlos Huerta running in the top 10. Robbie on the soft tires, so he may be on an adventure mode trying to get to the end here. Tenzin gonna leave the pits, so is Stingray Rob, so they weren't completely killed. Still gonna be many, many laps down. So much so that the timing tower refuses to show anyone below 25th for whatever reason. As Justin Allgaier gonna have to pit again. Man, it's really been feast or famine for this team. This is gonna put him at the back of the field for sure. He came in on the soft tires, so yeah, tough rookie season for the 14. Just a lot of speed, but has not been able to execute. Starting to gain a little bit of time on Van Gisbergen here. As Zilich should have Deletta here. Yes, he does. So Connor Zilich now up into 4th. It's where he started from. Chet Jordan got around Huertas and Robbie. Robbie's going to be dropping back. He may not be able to make it to the end just on his tires. Everyone is on the mediums in the top 7, down to Robbie in 8th, and Foster is actually on the soft, so that's quite interesting. Stinkle on the soft, so he's going to have a tough time getting to the end. And Hulkenberg. Hubbard's actually on the softs. He's all the way down in 17th, so things haven't gone too well for him as this is cycling out. 9.2 seconds, so not losing time, but not gaining time, and he'd need to be gaining over a second a lap at this point. Back here, Guy Gagne and McStinkle battling. Ryan Preece also trying to move forward as Robbie and Foster battle for 8th. Foster just going to be on the better tires. He's going to get by, and then Lawless Allen going to sneak through into 9th as Nolan Siegel cannot make it to the end. He's going to have to pit here, which was kind of what I thought could happen with when he pitted. But now we got to talk about, can Van Gisbergen and Armstrong make it to the end now? You can do about a 22 lap stint is the longest I see. They're going to be at about 21, and the 22 guys did have a yellow. There's a slight chance that the 1 and the 33 may not be able to make it to the end and might need to pit again. So this could fall into the hands of Connor Zilich. Nolan Siegel going to cycle out to 7th. Not too bad. Going to be on the softs to the end. Not quite what he wanted, but still time to make up some good spots. And if things go well, he could catch up to Connor Zilich, and this could go in his favor if the 1 in the 33 can't make it to the end. The chasing down Connor Zilich is going to be tough. But if the 1 in 33 need to pit, they're probably going to pit next time by, estimating around when Siegel came by, but there's no guarantee they need to pit. Carlos Huertas currently in 6th in just his second start. This is a very good run despite what he did earlier in the race of nailing the 77 in the side. 5 laps to go. Who's going to be able to make it? As Robbie Lohr is one of them that can't make it. He was trying to go to the end on softs. Going to be a difficult result for him today. Try to overcome. Siegel going to get around to Huertas here, maybe. Foster's going to try and get involved, but Siegel going to get around Huertas, and Foster will also get by. So Siegel up into 6th, still looking at a top 5 finish if all works out. Van Gisbergen going to stay out here. So maybe he has just enough to make it to the end, but he has been pushing harder than anyone else, clearly. Armstrong gonna stay out. Zilich under threat from Chet Jordan, who wants a podium here. Has led a few laps in this race. This is a battle for the final podium spot. If the top two can't make it on fuel, this could be the battle for the win. But we don't know what their situation is, but Chet Jordan thinks about going up the inside of Connor Zilich. Neither of these two have won this season. Chet Jordan doesn't have a podium this season. Zilich, I think, only has one. Maybe two. I think two. But Jordan around the outside. And he's going to get the better run off the turn. Better tires, and Chet Jordan is away in third place. Van Gisbergen going to stay out this time. So he is still trying to make it to the end on fuel. Marcus Armstrong going to be coming around the pit entry again. He stays out. Trying to make it on 3 more laps for a 21 lap stint. No yellows. Jordan and Foster went the longest on 22. But that did have a yellow, and that's kind of what is critical in that. See what laps Jordan is turning versus Van Gisbergen. Just a little bit slower. Armstrong, much slower than Van Gisbergen. He's going to be 23 seconds up, so even there is still a consideration that even if he does pit, he may still just come out in front of him on pace. Which if he does, that's absolutely just a win for him. Even if he's close, he's going to have much better tires. But here he comes as Chet Jordan is around backwards and losing spots here. He's going to get back going, but that is going to knock him out of the podium and drop him down to 8th. Van Gisbergen and Armstrong, neither of them need to pit here. Chet Jordan going to fall down to 8th. And that's going to put Zilich back on the podium. And Jordan's going to go off track again. What is happening to this 24? He's now going to return onto the track, but he is all the way down in 14th now. Meanwhile, Nolan Siegel around the outside of teammate Connor Zilich to get onto the podium. 2 laps to go. And the 24 has absolutely melted down, has fallen down to 14th. And now is under attack from the 76 of Ethan Martz. Meanwhile, the 2 Viking racing cars have traded position. Chaos breaking out here at the Hockenheim. Ryan Preece trying to get onto the top 10 here. Trying to get around teammate Lawless Allen, Guy Gagné as well. But white flag for Shane Van Gisbergen, does not need to pit this time. And this looks like it's going to be win number 4. If he can just make it around. Just absolutely perfect on the strategy. Everything went his way. The yellow was perfect. Gonna be close on fuel. But not much longer to go. Half a lap. As at the back, Nico Hulkenberg has gone off track. Which is going to be where Van Gisbergen's coming up to. So through the stadium section, one final time, a fourth win on an incredible season for the number one of Shane Van Gisbergen as he will win the German Grand Prix. Marcus Armstrong much further back, gonna come home in second. Still gonna try and fight for the championship, but he's gonna be on the back leg now as Nolan Siegel will come around and take third. Dilich in fourth, and then Deletta a little bit further back in fifth will round out your top five. Unofficial results scrolling across the top of your screen. So that is it for the German Grand Prix here at the Hockenheim. Let's take a look at your final results. Shane Van Gisbergen brings it home 13 seconds over Marcus Armstrong. That's actually one of the biggest wins that we've ever seen. And just looked so on point today. Marcus Armstrong comes home second once again. Nolan Siegel third once again. Connor Zilich, good run, gonna come up in fourth. Alessio Deletta will make it back-to-back top fives in fifth. Carlos Huertas on his second ever race gonna finish sixth as he did get around Louis Foster right at the end as Foster was struggling on the soft tires. Pin gonna finish in eighth with Ryan Preece getting back into the top 10 in ninth. Gagne in 10th. Lawless Allen gonna get his second best result of the season in 11th. Lindsey Brewer in 12th. David Malukas will tie his best of the season in 13th. Ethan Marchdown in 14th. Francesco Draconi 15th. Chet Jordan threw away a podium in 16th. That's going to be disappointing for him. Brennan Hubbard all the way down in 17th. Good run, but just no speed late at the end. Couldn't make his way through the field. Benjamin Peterson going to finish down in 18th. Justin Allgaier, another difficult result, down in 19th. DeFrancesco 20th. Raghunathan 21st. Robbie 22nd. McStinkle 23rd, just ahead of teammate Miles Rowe, who will take 24th. And then Nico Hulkenberg will be the final car in the lead lap, taking 25th. Dawa Tenzin, Stingray Rob, Glover Lore, your DNFs being 8 laps down and 20 laps down. Tough day for the Magenta Trees, but that is it. Here at the Hockenheim, an exciting race to kick off our European road course leg of the season. Up next, we go to the second longest track on the schedule at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It's going to be an exciting race. Qualifying will be on Tuesday with the extended sessions for it being so long. but we will see you then. Goodbye. Yeah.